So it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to Asset Building for All Pathways to Financial Inclusion. Today is all about sharing ideas, learning from one another, and finding new ways to support the individuals and the communities that we serve. I'd like to introduce Ryan Davis. Ryan is the Director of Community Impact with the Financial Empowerment Network. I know him as our fearless leader of the statewide convening of asset building coalitions, where he acts as a collaborative friendship builder extraordinaire. We're very excited to have him here today, so I will turn it over to you.
Hi everybody. I'm going to try not to trip and ruin this wonderful, hi! I'm Ryan. I see many familiar faces and new friends here in the room. I'm so grateful to get to spend a little bit of time setting the mood today before sending you off into rooms with smarter people than me to connect with bright ideas and big future ideas. Before we get much further, I do want to start by saying that we are on the ancestral home and unceded territory of the Nooksack, Lumi, and other Coast Salish peoples. Our respect for this time and space in building communities should recognize all of the stewards of this place, past, present, and future. I also want to recognize that the economic systems that we experience were and are built by unfair labor practices, often targeting Black and brown communities, and that systems of oppression and exploitation still affect us today. Thank you for spending a little bit of time joining this conversation with those acknowledgements in place. I feel it is important for us to sit in the same space together. Does my clicker work? Ooh, I didn't make that slide. It's a good slide. As Edith said, my name is Ryan Davis. I use he, him pronouns. I am the Director of Community Impact with the Financial Empowerment Network. If you would like, there's a QR code here on the screen that you can use to see this presentation now and always. It will also be sent out to everyone later. We are capacity builders. We are a network of providers. So my job is to connect all of the awesome people who are doing the work of building our financial communities, building the health and well-being of the people who need us most. My job is to make that better. I am here as a little bit of a ground setter, as I mentioned before, but most of my job happens behind the scenes. Please visit our website. I'll drop it here for the entire plethora of how we get engaged in the financial empowerment space, but suffice it to say that we do free professional development. Oh, I have a slide for this. Nope, not there yet. We do free professional development as well as encouraging systems and policymakers to consider community when making financial products and services that we all interact with. So, I want to know who's in the room. Raise your hand if you have the phrase asset or building in your job description anywhere. Okay, keep them up. Yeah, we'll get there. Who has ever had any sort of training on how to talk about money? Any training on more hands? Yes. Who here regularly has conversations about money with clients? Keep your hands up. Oh yeah. Who has ever had a conversation about money? Congratulations, you're all asset builders. Asset building is a phrase that came around right before the Great Recession of 2008. It came to Washington very early, and it is essentially this is that slide. Scan the QR code for all of the cool things that FEN does. We even have a workshop coming up on Thursday on serving clients in times of crisis, both the crises that they bring us as well as the crises that we are experiencing as human service providers in a system that we work in. Please scan the QR code, and like I said, these will be available forever and always on the links provided to you after today's presentation. These are really, really small, but luckily, all of this is on the back of your programs. If you look at the back of your programs, it says, "What is asset building?" Asset building is a umbrella term that encompasses financial empowerment, financial education, financial coaching, anything that improves the physical or intangible assets that a person has moving towards their financial futures. This can be anything from knowing how to build a budget all the way up to having investments that are part of the financial long-term plan. I am going to dive a little bit deeper. I have broken out asset building into sort of 4 large areas that I see sort of as a ladder or as a cake with multiple layers. At the top, the bit that we all get to see, the bit that is the easiest to talk about is individual supports. 1 layer down, we'll talk about community resources. And as a 3rd layer, partnerships for change. And lastly, policy advocacy, where the big change happens. Let's dive into individual supports first. It's blinking, we'll get there. So, individual supports. How might we prepare for financial conversations in programs that serve people experiencing poverty? My job, if any of you have been in a meeting with me, I use metaphors and questions. It's what I'm here for. We're going to dive into this question of how might we prepare for financial conversations and programs that serve people experiencing poverty with the metaphor of a sailboat. When we think about people in the terms of a sailboat, most of us are thinking about sails that catch the wind and a hull that we resist the waters and keep ourselves dry. I also want us to think about that we have other people in the water with us. We use tools to know what heading we want to follow. And we have experience of the waters and what lies beneath them, what the currents are, and what is nearby. So hold this metaphor in your head for a little bit. Picture yourself on a sailboat. This is what it looks like for our work. Yes, we should and can help people build their sails by further education, job training, and making a money plan, or building out their hull with debt management plans, credit building, and meeting basic needs. But we can also look for communities of practice and support networks for ourselves and for our clients. We know that if we have a community of people who support us, we can make positive change. We're social creatures. We work better when we have people. We can also make our compass stronger. Oh, I have a laser pointer. We can identify our values and get more specific in our goal setting. We can identify ways that we celebrate success. Identify who are our cheerleaders. When we do something cool, who's going to be on our side to celebrate with us? And most importantly, we can take a look at the water that we're swimming in. What cultures and systemic contexts affect our financial choices? Some of those are clear. Some of them are not. The people that we work with are the experts in their own lives, and it is our job to support their understanding of their own waters while we help them build the rest of their boat. I love this metaphor and could spend 3 hours talking about this and how it applies to every part of our work, but we're going to move on. The next piece is community resources. So if we go one step up from how do we as individuals support the people that come to us for help, we as service providers rely on other service providers to fill gaps that we might not know. It is impossible for one person to know all of the things about how money interacts with the world around us. So, much like when we're building a puzzle, we identify what we're good at, what piece of this space that we hold, and what are the friends in the room doing that I might make a good referral to. Just taking a brief look around the room, who here works with people who have disabilities? Who here works with people who are homeless? Who works with people who are new to this country or, oh my goodness, yes. Who works with people who are about to retire? I see a lot of people raise their hands multiple times, but nobody raised their hand every time. So as we are thinking about community supports, recognizing that when somebody comes to us and we're not an expert in a retirement plan, the answer isn't, I'm not an expert in retirement. It's, oh, whoa, 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 I know Joe. And we fit together like a puzzle piece. I want to ask us 2 key questions because that's my job. The first part is who identifies new puzzle pieces. So that might be you in your program is like, I'm getting a lot of people asking me about insurance. I don't know anything about insurance. Can I go find somebody who knows more about insurance? This could also be a program recognizing that they have some funding, that they can provide medical transport. Wait, who else does this? Why is this a need? So who identifies new puzzle pieces that either need to exist, or I have a puzzle. How does this fit into the rest of the board? And that leads us to the second key question of who connects the puzzle pieces. Organically, in a perfect world, that's all of you making friends with everybody else in this room, and you know the emails that you can send somebody to, and it's a warm handoff, and it's like, yeah, Sue is a great person. I know that if you talk to her about this, that they'll treat you good. However, this is not a perfect world, and it takes some level of staffing or some level of intention to meet people, to know, and to build these relationships. The Whatcom Asset Building Coalition website is a great spot for this, of what resources exist in our community. Let's find a way to build a connection there. Our website, fenwa.org, also has a resources page to help build connections between people who are subject matters, or who are experts in other bits of subject, who are other subject matter experts. There's coffee over there. So that is sort of the next layer of our cake. Navigating community resources to make sure that our clients receive all of the resources that are available, not just the resources that they know about. So that takes us back to our big cake. And the third level of our cake is partnerships for change. And this is how might we make it easier for everyone to access safe and affordable financial services. Thank you, Edith. So I have 2, let's call them pieces of homework. The first is to be curious. And when you find a new puzzle piece, either a piece that's missing or a new resource that you're not entirely sure how it fits into the puzzle, actively looking for common barriers to financial well-being will lead us to gaps, will lead us to places where it is hard for a person to make a connection between 2 programs. It is hard for any number of systematic reasons. We can make some level we can make it easier where we can. So I want to give an example here. We are the lead organization of Bank on Washington. And we have been approached by our national partners and a couple of friends here in Washington that it is difficult for people who are receiving unemployment or people who are who have any sort of legal financial obligations. If they do not have a bank account, then that means that direct deposit is not possible, which means a paper check or a prepaid debit card, which is administratively difficult, not to mention expensive for a state government that is in a budget shortfall. And so what if it were possible for people to open up a bank account while they were applying for uninsurance? What if it were possible for people to open a bank account while they were at the courthouse trying to pay for their financial legal financial obligations? We will be spending the next 12 months doing our best to find the answer to that, but that is a hole that we currently see. I could talk for more times about all the holes that we see. But the second piece of homework is to be proactive. Solutions, things that we try and implement upstream have a much larger impact. That's one of the reasons why the Office of the State Treasurer, as well as our legislature, spent time on graduation requirements for our students that relate to financial education, so that we can start working on some of those individual supports in K-12. We also see that the more time that we spend talking about money in employment programs before someone is connected with a job, then when they receive their first paycheck, there's already some amount of information in the squirrel cage to move forward with. So upstream have a larger impact, and also initiatives always take longer than you think they will. It's a rule. So the further ahead that you start, both in the client's lives ahead of a challenge, but also if you want something to happen in 2026, start now. Proactivity is generally good, but I'm bad at it. So hopefully y'all will fill in that gap for me. Which leads us to policy advocacy. I have less experience at policy advocacy than I would like, but I think that's the piece that I want to pass along to you. I've been convincing legislators to listen to me for 3 years, and they seem to listen. They seem to be good people. Everyone from your city council all the way up to people who run our state and your representatives to the US Congress have a vision for the world that they believe in. And if you tell them your vision of the world, their vision gets more clearer. So the more that we talk with the people who are making decisions about how our lives are affected, even if it's not a polished statement, even if it's not before the world's stage saying eloquent things, call your representative and say, I'm having a hard day today because this. It's the off season. They're fine. They're fine. And more than that, we elected them to listen to us. Beyond that, please come back to this room at 3:30, where Jesse Johnson, who snuck in the back, I'm going to ask him questions about what happened in Olympia over the last couple of months, and hopefully find ways for all of us to encourage our legislators to keep our community in mind the next time that we're faced with a hard decision, because both for ourselves, for our organizations, and for our communities, budgets are moral documents, not just financial documents. We put money where we think it is important, and I appreciate you putting your time here in this room today, because that is important for us as well. Thank you, everybody.